Speaking of dating,
Don't even. Are we doing? We're gonna jump right into dating, right? Okay.
speaking of dating, that's actually one of our topics for today. The dating stages. First off, let's talk. I want to let everybody know that DREA came up with a lot of these topics, and I think she did an excellent job of choosing them. And I'm not saying that to put you on the spot, but
I know, but
I do want to give you credit.
It was still a collective because it's always conversations that we always have in our friend circles. So it's just thinking about just random conversations, or not even random conversations, just like things we always talk about throughout the years. Just with like dealing with dating and dealing with each other and yelling at each other or giving each other advice.
Yeah, for sure.
With all of our friends. Yeah, that's how they basically came about.
So, dating stages. We're going to talk about this, right? Obviously, or not. I shouldn't say obviously. We broke it down pretty much into 2 stages of dating.
Right.
I want to talk about the talking stage. This is a very murky, very murky, subject. Yeah, and touchy. Everybody feels different about it, right?
Absolutely.
I kind of, when we talking about this before, we kind of mentioned it being like a filtering stage. Even though I don't feel people use it as a filtering stage the way that they should. But the talking stage, what do you feel are pros? Let's start with the pros.
What technically is the talking stage?
Okay, let's start
and
there.
Are there stages to dating?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, so I feel like there's stages to dating.
Absolutely.
I feel like you meet somebody, you might exchange your numbers, whether like you like their vibe or you meet them online, social media, meet them in your friend circle whenever you guys are out. So the first thing you're gonna do is exchange numbers. You guys start talking stage. How long is the talking stage supposed to last? Like, I think that's the one thing that we never, like, no one ever really establishes, and I think that's one of the cons when it comes to being in the talking stage.
And what is that? When you say that is one of the cons, what is the con?
Just like there's no technically there's no establishing how long.
Yeah. It's different for everybody.
Right.
And that's why it's so murky, right? Because it is different for everybody.
Exactly.
But I think that there are definitely pros to the talking stage if you do it correctly. For me, one of the...
That's touchy if you do it correctly, but okay.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. It's called the talking stage, right?
Right.
One of the things I feel like is a common mistake in the talking stage is people don't talk. They don't communicate. And I feel like
you're talking, but you're not communicating.
Yeah. I feel like you're talking about all these things, right? But are you really communicating as far as what is it that you want? What is it that you're looking for? These are the important things. And I want to preface all this by saying I am not a dating expert at all. I just like I don't want to come up.
Slick,
I don't want to.
We know.
I don't want to come on here like I'm a dating expert. I do feel like I have a lot of experience in different phases of life, in different phases of lifestyles.
Okay.
And I feel like for me, especially when I was younger, that was one of the biggest problems is that there was no communication. I had to learn that a lot later in life, and I feel like when I did learn that, when I did learn that, and when I did learn the value of communicating, things went better for me. And I feel like that is a common mistake. Is that, like I said, people are talking, but you're not really communicating. So,
but I think that people don't. I think during this stage, people really don't communicate exactly how they feel and what they're looking for because they feel as though it'll take away from what it is that they're trying to accomplish with this person. And whether it's just to be a one-night stand, whether it's just to be just casual dating, they're just not comfortable communicating that because they feel like if I say this, then the person might not want to be, they might not be okay with that, or they might not be game for that, and then I won't ever hear from this person again. That's one of the biggest problems when it comes to it. People are just not upfront and honest during the talking stage that I can say I see a lot. Like, not even just with, like, me dealing with people, but just, like, friends dealing with people. And just all different stories that you hear from, like, friends and coworkers. Like, no one really wants to jump all into anything during the talking stage, but at the same time, you're not communicating.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So let me ask a question.
Okay.
The talking stage is different for everybody.
It is.
So for you, and I'll answer this as well.
Okay.
For you, what like give me like talking stage for you, right? We're gonna create an imaginary person here that you are talking to.
Okay.
Give me a vibe for like what is the talking stage for you?
So I feel like when it comes to the talking stage for me, I'm a heavy communicator. Like I text, I call, FaceTime, all of that. So like I feel like that's one thing I always say off the bat. Like once I start talking to somebody or like once I exchange numbers, like I'm a communicator. Like if I'm at work and I got 5 seconds to spare, I'm gonna text you. Oh, how's your day? Or oh, what's up? Or this, that, and the third. So like, if that's not who you are, if that's not something that you can do, let me know that right off the bat. That way, one, we can establish boundaries, but I can also establish whether or not we are right for each other during the talking stage. Not saying that because you may not be able to communicate as often as I can, that we can't be together. But it's just like, that's just one of the things that I like. That's one of the things that I communicate.
And it sets up expectations.
People. Exactly. Yeah. It sets up expectations, but it also lets you know who I am as a person. What else? Let's go back to what the question was.
Talking stage. What does it
looks like.
Yeah.
For
what
me.
does it look like for you?
Oh.
Yeah. Let's start right. 34 is one of those ages when it starts.
Shut up. I want to also say dating. And by dating, I mean like going out on dates, like going, like even if it's just like going out to the park, going on like doing some type of activity, like we do nothing but activities. Whether we go out hiking, we go bike riding, we do that a lot. We got our little bike group.
Yeah.
So it's
rich
anything,
kids,
right? So it's anything like going outside and doing some type of activity, being adventurous. I'm not the type of person that wants to talk to you for hours on end or for weeks or months on end. Like I don't need a pen pal. Like so like the talking stage technically does involve going outside. Like I mean, for me at least.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
Why you?
I'm not mad at it.
Like,
I'm listening intently to you.
Also communicating the type of person that I am and what it is that I'm looking for as far as the future, but also what it is that I'm looking for as far as this situation right now. And those two things may be the same exact thing or they may not be. Like, I may not be looking for you to be the person to go through the future with, but I may also still be interested in you and still want to talk to you or whatever and still want to hang out with you or whatever the case may be. So I do think that that's another important part about communicating during the talking stage. I communicate a lot. Like,
that's good. That's great. I think communication is awesome.
One thing I don't do is introduce to my friends.
So when you're okay,
so when I'm in the talking stage, I do not introduce to my friends. I'm gonna let you know that now.
All right, so you're in talking stage. No. Don't even think about it. It's not happening. If you're in the talking stage, you have to get through this phase until you get to meet friends, important people in your life.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. That's more than fair.
At least at the beginning, absolutely.
That's more than fair. Okay.
Because I mean, my friends are very important. Like I might not introduce you. Okay.
And they also are gonna, what's gonna happen as well. Don't act like you gonna come around here and we not gonna give you. You're gonna get some grilling, and we gonna test you.
You're right. So that's another reason why, like, talking stage, you might not get introduced to my friends. I don't care how long that is. Sorry, not sorry.
All right. So for me, the talking stage.
Come on.
The talking stage is a very important phase. I mean, it obviously it is bridging. It's the bridge towards whatever is next, right? Whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever you want to call it after.
So, when they're saying boyfriend, girlfriend, partner going into the next stage, how do you approach the talking stage for you? Because we know like it's a different lifestyle for you. So how do you approach it?
Well, I mean, the talking. Well, what you're talking about is that I'm non-monogamous, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
So, and we'll get into that. But like,
we're gonna get to that.
How do you approach the talking stage then? Like, what is the talking stage like for you? And is it a talking stage for you?
Yeah, of course there is. It's the same thing. Just because not, I'm not in a monogamous lifestyle doesn't mean that there's still not a talking stage. You meet somebody who you're interested in, and you're talking, right? This is a phase where you are trying to get to know the person. Right. Communication is very important, and I'm going to talk about myself now because I feel like a lot of what you probably are going off of is from a previous me. But where I'm at now, communication is super important. So this phase for me is about getting to know somebody. It's about telling them my lifestyle, what it is that how I live my life, what my expectations are, what I'm looking for at the moment, if I'm looking for anything serious at the time, if I'm not looking for anything serious at the time. So, and it's the same thing, right? Right. You're gonna go out. We'll go out. We'll have meals. I do a lot of activities, right? Mm-hmm. Bike rides, or even like I like to ask people, do they want to work out? Like I'm that person. Like I'm gonna ask you if you want to work out.
You've been on like workout dates.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I like that. I mean, but that's your whole lifestyle. So
that shows me a lot about somebody, honestly. And even if you know what, I'm not gonna give up my secrets. I always say I don't like to like say what it is I'm looking for because people will use that and then like manipulate. So I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say what it is I get from that. But yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and obviously things may in the talking stage. Things can be physical, right? We're adults here. Things may be physical. So like these are all things that are happening in the talking stage. All with for me personally trying to see what's next, right? So there's boundaries set, there's expectations, all in the talking stage. And like I said before, I think the talking stage is great. Mm-hmm. The problem that I have is that a lot of people take the talking stage and they like try to turn it into something that is not. That is not.
Have you? So, and that's why I asked what the talking stage looks like for you, because have you experienced that, like where like you explicitly list out what it is that you're looking for, and then as you're still talking to a person, like getting to know the person just like sort of flips on what you technically told them you were looking for.
Yeah, that happens all the time, and especially in non-monogamy.
Right, and that's why I asked that. Because
the problem that I have faced with non-monogamy is, especially in the talking phase, I can meet somebody who might have lived a monogamous lifestyle, right, or are living a monogamous lifestyle. And maybe at the time they're not looking for anything serious. So somebody who lives a non-monogamous lifestyle, and I'm putting non-monogamous in quotation marks, not for me, for them. Okay. So somebody that lives a non-monogamous lifestyle is not, it doesn't bother them, right? Because they're not looking for anything serious, or maybe they're not looking to commit to anything. So it's cool. One of the biggest problems for me is the person that kind of takes what I give them, and now they try to like mold you into what they're looking for. Like you're not gonna like change my mind. And let's just keep. I mean, that has to be established, though, right?
But you experienced that at the talking stage.
Yes, I've experienced pretty much. I can tell when somebody like is up to no good. Okay. Right? Okay. Where it's like, okay, like I can tell somebody, okay, well, yeah, I'm non-monogamous, right? And I give them all of the details about it, right? About how I live my life and what it is and all of this. And they're like, oh, really? And they ask questions like, so like you see yourself being like that forever? That like right there, that is a red flag. Right, yeah, like, that's a red flag. It's like
so clearly, like you're not okay with this lifestyle. You're just trying to find a way to like flip it at some point.
Yeah, it's like
change me at some point.
Or it's like they feel like they can like be this, the special person where it's like, yeah, I'll be the one to convert you.
That's gonna make you monogamous.
Yeah, no, you're not doing that. And it's not, honestly, it's not like a bad thing. It's not like it's not disrespectful to them,
right.
but this is a pro, right? This is where I can kind of weed that out to know, like, okay, well, do you really respect that what I'm telling you right now, or do you think that you really are going to be able to like change me or convert me or whatever you want to call it? And I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, the answer is no. And if you feel that way, you can try, but you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment. And I don't want you to do that. I don't want to like play with people's emotions or like have people get upset. So that it's very important for me in this stage to kind of, that's where I'm filtering out. Like, are you really about this lifestyle that I'm presenting to you? And if you're not, I've met people who after that, you know, they can't get with it. But hey, we can still be friends. We can still chill. We can still like, you know, go on a bike ride, things like that. But now that part of it is done. We know that there's not going to be a connection that way.
Then what's the point of continuing on with the person?
We could be friends.
Yeah, but that person didn't want to be friends. That person wanted to.
Make
you into a monogamous relationship.
But now they see how great of a person I am. Now they're like, okay, well, you know what? I know I can't have this, but now we can still be friends. It happens. It's all about communication.
That's true.
Sometimes we think that like it gotta be all or nothing, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. I can remain friends with people even though romantically we might not see eye to eye. Why not? It's always good to have people, especially if we have like similar views and like similar values. Of course, no harm.
I mean, I think my biggest qualm with just the talking stage is that people don't explicitly say, all right, this is this and this is that, and then you just tend to go through the emotions with people, and I think that's where everyone like fall short. Everyone is just like, oh well, if we don't have this uncomfortable conversation, then everything will be okay. And like, no, you need to have uncomfortable conversations because uncomfortable conversations are what details everything. But not only that, they are what make things clear.
Yes.
Because when it's all said and done, when you don't have clarity, then it's just like you're going through the emotions with people. And then it's like, oh, well, I thought we were this, or I thought this was what this was, or I thought, like, we were straight or we were Gucci when, no, we never really talked about that.
Exactly.
Like, why you want to meet my mother? I never told you would ever meet my mother. Like, what are we talking about?
When did we discuss that?
Right.
And I say that all the time. Like, I'd rather have a 10-minute uncomfortable conversation that will like make everything after so clear and so easy than to like be tiptoeing and tiptoeing around something, and now I don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on,
one thing in your brain and then I got something else in my brain and we just moving, like we just coasting through it.
All in the name because you were too uncomfortable just to say, hey, you know what, well, this is not what I'm looking for right now, or this is what I'm looking for right now. And I'm gonna be honest, you know, I will tell for those who may be in that position, because I'm not going to make it seem like it's just so easy to have these conversations, right? It's not. But for somebody who might be in that situation and might be like, okay, I know I need to say something, but I don't. I promise you, it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. People are so much more respectful when you're honest about things and are open about things than when you want to like hide it or give half truths. Right. And take it from me, because I had to learn that the hard way, for sure. I had to learn it the hard way.
Meaning you were accepting or giving half truths.
I wasn't always the most honest about like intentions, right? And part of that I feel like for me was I wasn't being honest with myself, right? I had feelings that I was trying to like fit into a certain way that I knew in my heart that just wasn't me.
You were trying to fit into a monogamous lifestyle, and you knew that.
Yeah, and I just knew that just wasn't me.
You hid those intentions, basically, is what you're saying. Okay.
Right? So I remember when I really was comfortable, right, to even say this. Because, listen, years ago, to be on camera, something that's going to go on YouTube and say I'm non-monogamous, what? I would never. But see, why? Exactly, right? Why? But for me inside, with my upbringing, the way I was brought up, who I'm around, like that just wasn't like, that wasn't norm. That wasn't the norm. So I had to get comfortable and really comfortable within myself to say, okay, this is who you are. And I remember I used to tell people like, yo, like, this is what I am. Like, not broadcasted, but I used to have individual conversations. And people be like, oh, CL, you'll never be able to have anybody like,
or have a successful relationship.
And that was the furthest thing from the truth, right? Once I started being honest, like there are thousands, millions of people out there who also live this lifestyle who, if you are honest about it, will be happy to like hear you out and to work with you and to like I said, I'll be looking for the same exact things. So is it as prevalent? Is it as prevalent? No.
And I think now it is more so than like
more so now
in our 20s.
Yeah, of course.